Many doctors and scientists believe that our increasing consumption of the wrong sort of carbs is contributing to significant health problems.
A trolley service of drinks and light refreshments is available on this train.
As you can see, I'm having my lunch. Now, I know I should be having a salad, but what I really wanted was the pasty. So I think a sandwich is a reasonable compromise, but these are bad carbs. Now, the reason they're bad carbs is that when my body digests the bread, turns it into glucose, that puts my blood glucose up, and that causes my body to release insulin. Insulin is the hormone that controls our blood sugar
and keeps it on track. But there's been a worrying increase in the number of people becoming resistant to insulin, causing poor blood sugar control, which can ultimately lead to type 2 diabetes and often a lifetime of medication.
Now, it's pretty hard to overstate how dangerous type 2 diabetes is. Blindness, ulcers, heart attacks, strokes, limb loss, and ultimately death. It's a disease that is characterized by weight gain. Over 3.5 million people in the UK live with type 2 diabetes, and 90% of them are overweight or obese. It's been called the hidden killer because over 500,000 have yet to have it diagnosed. And many think this disease is on the increase in part because of the type and quantity of the carbs we're eating. So could simply cutting down on all the white and beige carbs and replacing them with more green carbs like fibre and resistant starch be the answer? I'm on my way to meet a family GP who, along with his wife, is trying on a local level to help his patients with type 2 diabetes. And they're doing it with a diet rather than pills and saving the NHS thousands of pounds. Talk me through what the diet is.
You're replacing dense carbohydrates, refined carbohydrates, with things that are less sugary and less refined. Instead of the chips or the rice or the potatoes, you might have a pile of green. I mean, what's often forgotten is actually green veg has got carbohydrate in it. So it's not that you're not having any carbohydrate at all.
Is it fair to say that almost everyone in the UK is eating more carbs than they need and more carbs than is good for them?
I think that's probably fair.
Should everyone be doing this low-carb diet?
Really, there is no one diet that suits everybody. I think it's much better to begin with what you're hoping for. And the answer to that will help you decide how low carb are you going to go. So that if you're not diabetic and you're not overweight, it might be just healthy to give up sugar and reduce the amount of biscuits and refined carbs that you're having.
Is sustainability something you've worried about?
It depends upon them finding food that they really enjoy, because you have to have a lifestyle that you enjoy.
It's not a diet because that implies it's sort of a bit punitive and it's going to end. It's actually a lifestyle, so you shouldn't be suffering because you'll never keep it up.
Are calories a big part of this diet or this lifestyle change?
The trouble I have with calories, or indeed weighing, measuring food, that all sounds like a diet to me, not like a lifestyle. I just want them to eat healthy food, and it seems to work.
So how does Dr. Unwin's plan work? He reckons it's possible to lose weight and improve your health by making simple changes, like cutting back on white and beige carbs.
So what's the science behind this plan? Well, Jaffa cakes are classic white and beige carbs. They contain refined sugars and starch, and my digestion is breaking that starch down into sugar. So after I've eaten a Jaffa cake, my blood sugar will now be starting to rise quite quickly. Now, an apple is different. Although this apple contains exactly the same number of calories as those two Jaffa cakes, the fiber in the apple means the sugar, the natural sugar in the fruit, gets absorbed much more slowly. That fiber will travel the whole length of my digestive tract, making me feel fuller for longer. So gram for gram with the apple, I get less sugar, and that sugar that could have been stored as fat. That's the theory.
Dr. Unwin has arranged for me to meet one of his patients who has been on his low-carb plan for over 4 years.
Is it Chris?
Hi, Zand. Okay, good to meet you.
Very good to meet you.
Chris was a type 2 diabetic and on 3 different kinds of medication. He's brought along some photos of his old self. Like me, he was once seriously overweight.
This is what you used to look like?
That's what I used to look like, Zand, yeah.
So the first one doesn't look that bad.
No.
You're a heavy guy
Yeah.
there, heavier guy there, but
Yeah.
that is a
Probably-
big man.
Yes.
How heavy were you at that point?
In excess of 19 stone.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay. What was it like being 19 stone?
I didn't have half the energy I've got now.
That's what I
different
noticed.
person, really.
Because I was 19 stone.
I found I was always hungry as well. I was always looking for the next meal.
And what were the results of going on the programme?
Immediate weight loss. The blood test results that came back, David was extremely pleased. They were very positive, and I went from all this medication to 0 in 6 months.
Wow.
I've not taken any medication since, and that's 2013.
A lot of doctors just think of diabetes as a permanent disease that you have. That's amazing, isn't it?
I understand I'm classed as pre-diabetic. I imagine as long as I follow this programme and don't revert to my old ways, that I shall remain pre-diabetic.
David is very persuasive, and what Chris has done is really nothing short of a miracle. To get off all those pills is incredible.
Chris was part of Dr. Unwin's original trial. What I want to know is, can we make this work in the real world? Just how hard is it to change your lifestyle and stick to a low-carb diet? This is Kirby on Merseyside. Obesity, type 2 diabetes and heart disease rates here are all above the national average. I've enlisted the help of local GP Faisal Mazarani, who has selected a group of his patients with weight-related health issues. Some do have type 2 diabetes or are considered pre-diabetic. Others are simply obese or have a family history of heart trouble. I'm hoping this experiment will have positive results on all the patients' health. As we've seen, knowing the sugary carbs in food can be a challenge, and for diabetics, dangerous. So, before they start the experiment, Dr. Mazarani wants to show them the foods they should avoid.
Now, each of our volunteers is wearing one of these. This is a blood glucose monitor, and it is continually measuring my blood sugar. So I can check it now. There you go, 4.5. That's all right. So Dr. Mazarani wants each of the volunteers to do an experiment using these monitors, and he's put the instructions here.
I'm going to test to see how certain carbohydrates affect your system, especially in the morning for breakfast. Let's have a bowl of fruit and fibre, some semi-skimmed milk, some toast with butter, a banana and 200 ml of apple juice. And let's see how that affects your sugar level and how your body responds.
First up is Neil.
I've been asked to have a cereal breakfast to show the difference in glucose, blood sugar glucose, before and after. Wholemeal toast.
A normal reading is around 6 to 7 after eating, but a reading of over 11 indicates they are diabetic. Even if you're not diabetic, the truth is that this seemingly healthy breakfast actually contains loads of hidden sugar. In fact, it exceeds the recommended daily allowance in just one meal. The effect on their blood sugar is about the same as an extraordinary 28 cubes of sugar.
Well, from 6.4, which is where it was just over an hour ago, before I had the breakfast, it's now 13.6.
Left untreated, this level can be very dangerous. Hence, Neil and Phil currently requiring medication to control it.
I've now just taken a reading. It has now gone up to 15.5.
So it's crucial that our volunteers, especially the diabetic ones, stick to the kinds of carbs that won't push up their blood sugar.
So what are their options? Well, I could always try porridge. Not the processed kind, because that releases sugar very quickly, but whole oats, which are high in resistant starch and in fibre. And they could top those off with a few berries, which are also high in fibre and relatively low in sugar. Or you could go to work on an egg.
Eggs are no longer considered bad for us and are only 1% carb. It's the first night of our big experiment with our volunteers to swap all those high sugar, white and beige carbs for green carbs. And we're starting with a blowout meal in a local community college restaurant. And by blowout, I mean we're blowing out the unhealthy carbs and introducing good carbs to our 7 diners. So instead of seeing a pharmacist, I'm meeting a chef.
Hey, I'm Zon. Very good
Nice
to meet you.
you.
Thanks very much. So are you doing the meals here?
We are, yeah. We're cooking all the meals, the low-carb or smart-carb meals for the patients out front.
Can I have a look at what's going on?
By all means. So at the moment, we've got Kieran, who's making cauliflower rice, and then we've got Chantel, who's doing our slow marinated chicken drumsticks, which we make our own Cajun spice. But it's all the commodities that you have in your own cupboard.
I have to say, it smells amazing. It looks really good, and that is very important because you've got 7 people out there whose lives depend on you seducing them into low-carb food.
Yeah.
Lecturer David Critchley has been tasked to come up with a range of simple and economic dishes.
I love that the most important bit of this evening is not down to a doctor, it's down to a chef.
This is a carb-clever meal. All the starchy beige carbs like potato replaced with a green fibrey carb alternative like celeriac.
But this is a whole week's food we're having in one table.
Yeah.
Yes.
The cauliflower with the chicken one night, and you have the cottage pie another, the chicken curry another night.
Essentially, it's just everyday food with a very slight tweak.
And it's like this. I love the visual of that because that gives me the illusion that I'm having my roasties.
Yeah. Don't feel like I'm giving something up. It's a lifestyle change. It's actually changing some of the things that I am eating.
Dave, why are you here?
Basically, I've been type 2 diabetic for about 17, 18 years. I've had the fear of God put over me. People saying you'll lose your toes and fingers and your eyes and things. So, I mean, obviously, nobody wants that, do they?
So this is serious stuff for our patients. I'm back in the kitchen with David to find out what's coming out next.
Is this pudding?
This is Ella.
Hi, Ella.
Ella's doing chocolate-covered strawberries. You still can have chocolate on this diet.
It's not full of sugar. It's not the kind of terrible milk chocolate. And then the strawberries are fruit, so...
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
great.
all
I would
good.
not have thought of that. I don't know what I thought you were going to serve for pudding, but I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah. This is just one of them.
Somewhere along the way, there's something for everyone here, isn't there?
There is. And it's, again, it's just getting back to making sure that you're smart with your choices, because there's always going to be a low-carb pudding out there for someone.
So can I just ask, what does everyone think of the food?
Stunning. Stunning.
Yeah?
Brilliant.
So at the end of this meal, does everyone feel optimistic about making this change to their lives?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
I'm
so.
in for it.
It was my biggest worry that the food was going to be... But I quite enjoyed what we've had tonight.
I mean, I could eat everything on the... I don't mean everything, literally.
All the glasses in that one.
There's a lot at stake. Our team's health depends upon them sticking to low-carb food. For the next 2 weeks before we catch up again, but also for the long term too.
I thought that was a really great start, and hopefully it will be the motivation that our 7 volunteers need to make some really good progress.
It's just over 2 weeks since I last saw our low-carb volunteers. During that time, they've been using social media to keep in touch, to share food ideas, and to egg each other along. If you want to follow our plan, maybe just to shed a few pounds, then why not form a group online? It can make a real difference, helping you to stop falling off the wagon. I'm back in Kirby to see if any of our group have managed to turn their health problems around.
So we haven't seen you all for 2 weeks. How has everyone been getting on?
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Really.
Yeah. Something I've actually enjoyed doing, and actually felt that I'm not actually hungry at all. So for
Not
me, it's
hungry?
a significant change in what I'm used to eating and what I've been doing. So, and education-wise, it's been brilliant.
Did anyone really struggle?
No.
Wow. I do think that is amazing, that you've got a group of people here who've been on, not a diet, but have changed what they're eating for 2 weeks, who are not coming back going, I'm starving, I'm hungry, I hated this is miserable. Okay, impressive.
These patients have all previously struggled losing weight. So how have they got on with our plan?
So, Richard, over this 2-week period, you've lost half a stone, and your HDL, your good cholesterol's gone up by about 10%. Brilliant. Which is fantastic. And then if you move on to Maureen, you've had half a stone weight loss in this 2-week period. Your waistline has gone down by 10 centimetres, which is fantastic. Yeah.
That's good.
In fact, all of the overweight patients have done exceptionally well, considering they've been counting the carbs, not the calories. Each one has lost half a stone. For those with type 2 diabetes, Dr. Maserani also measured their average blood sugar levels, their HbA1c, a key blood marker for a diabetic.
So we'll do you, Neil, first. You're a type 2 diabetic on 3 diabetic medications. Your controls classed as very poor, or was when we started. But in the 2-week period, you've had a 14% improvement in your HbA1c. Wow. So I'm 100% confident in another month or so, maybe 3 months, we should be on the way to reversing your type 2 diabetes.
Well done.
Yeah,
so well.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Well done.
So Phil, over to you. So you're a type 2 diabetic as well. Over this 2-week period, you've lost half a stone. Your diabetic controls improved by 6%, and your fatty liver's reduced again by 35%. So that's excellent as well. So Dave, you've been diabetic for a number of years now, haven't you?
17.
17 years. But the fantastic news here is at the start of this programme, you were a type 2 diabetic, but you're now classed as diabetic in part remission. So you're only a stone's throw from being diabetes in reversal, which is amazing.
I'm amazed too, because after 17 years on medication, it's looking like Dave can turn his type 2 diabetes around simply by being clever with his carbs.
What do you think of that?
I think it's fantastic. They're actually improving the health.
Those are literally hard biochemical markers that we're finding in your bloods that will have a huge, I mean, those are the important blood results for life expectancy.
So when we talk about stroke, heart disease, all the complications of diabetes, it's these numbers.
What's been achieved in 2 weeks is pretty extraordinary. David's low-carb plan could potentially save lives and save the NHS millions of pounds a year in medication alone.
Is it fair to say, I think there are a lot of doctors throughout the UK who would simply not believe that this was possible? And I would say I'm one of them. I don't think I've ever experienced anything like this.
No. For us as doctors, you become a doctor because you want to make a difference. And it makes me wonder what you're going to achieve in the next 6 months.
Yeah.
I think I know the answer to this, but are you all planning to continue doing this?
Yes, most definitely.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Well, look, really good luck. You have done fantastic work.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite that impressive. Those people have not only lost significant amounts of weight in 2 weeks, more importantly, they've improved things about their health that are literally saving their lives. Dr. Unwin and Dr. Maserani have discovered something that has massive implications for the health of almost everyone in the UK.